I'm Tim Sheedy. I'm an advisor at Forrester Research. Does anyone in the room know who Forrester is? A couple, right? We're an IT and marketing research firm. I don't actually have a background in IT. I'm not a technical person, but I've worked in the IT space for about 15 years. My clients are CIOs, so they match me. They're people who don't like to get their hands dirty with technology. The content I'm going to be covering is very simple. What should be the focus of innovation that we believe in terms of where we see organisations can make a difference? And what you'll see through the content I'm presenting, this isn't technology-specific content at all. We're just trying to help our technology-specific clients get involved in innovation. And what should be the process for innovation? So basically, we see that there are three types of innovation happening. And there are whole debates about what is innovation, and I'm sure you guys have been through these debates, and I apologise I wasn't here for most of the day. And there are debates internally. We find most organisations haven't even defined what is innovation. These are organisations even with innovation programs. And I personally believe that an innovation at one organisation isn't one at a different organisation. It doesn't have to be massive and different. But if you just look at changes, there's the incremental changes, which are typically funded through that, through the annual capital process. They go through the change, in IT, they go through the change advisory board. This is when you guys want a new field in Siebel or some changes to the systems, or you're changing a process internally, and that has to be reflected in some of the technology and in the training and the change program of your organisation. At the other end, there's radical change. This is board level stuff. This is acquisitions, major changes in direction for the organisation. I'd argue that we have processes of doing this. That's what our board spend a lot of their time thinking about, these major challenges that we have. Well, I hope they're spending their time thinking about it. But in the middle, we have what we call, that Forrester calls sustained innovation. Now, I call this the gut feel stuff. Hand up in the room, whose organisation has put in a BI, a business intelligence system, in the last 10 years or so? Most of you have, I assume most of you has some sort of, Cognos, business objects, some sort of analytics engine that helps to give you information. Now, I can guarantee that at least 95% of the organisations in this room put that system in without any business case. You probably spent millions of dollars putting this system in without a business case because you knew this is something you had to do. You had a gut feel that we need better information, we need to make better decisions. So you made that investment. Now, the problem with that is that we make too many of these investments without business cases, and too many of them go wrong. And there are hundreds of examples in Australian organisations of multi-million-dollar failures. Just within my client base here in Australia, I can probably point to 15 in the last 2 years, multi-million-dollar IT-specific failures that haven't delivered the outcome, and some of them, at least, they canned them before they went live. Some of them made the mistake of continuing to invest in these systems. And this is where we believe a sustained innovation process can help organisations get the metrics to understand whether or not it's worth investing in these gut feel decisions. So the process for sustained innovation, when a lot of the clients that we've spoken to, when they talked about innovation, they talked about this piece, the innovation funnel. They talked about the idea of getting ideas and testing ideas and trying to take ideas to market. And what we found is that organisations that only looked at that, typically their innovation programs were short-lived. When there were budget cuts, that was one of the first things to go. Because they didn't do everything else around it. They didn't have the implementation structures in place and the control structures. And I'll go through these one at a time. Again, I won't be doing them justice because I'm going through these slides much faster than I should. But the innovation funnel was ultimately about finding, funding and rewarding innovation. Now, understanding the mix of innovations, I won't spend too much time on this, but every organisation, some organisations want more product, some want more process innovation, market innovations and organisational changes. Every organisation is different. Understanding that mix at the outset is really important, because if you're an organisation, I can nearly guarantee that if you left the IT shop and made them responsible for this, they'd spend much of their time in product innovations. And these percentages is just an example of one client that we spoke to. IT guys like to do things differently with products and create new things and widgets, etc. So that may not be acceptable for your firm. Your firm might be in a situation where you're trying to reduce the number of products that you have in the market. So understanding that mix is important. Change management, which is a term I hate. I don't think change management is a real thing. Every organisation I've spoke to that says they do change really well and they say we've got a change team and these guys really help us out, as soon as you scratch below the surface, typically they are organisations that have a culture that accepts change much more readily. That's my experience of most good change programs. Change is something that happens to things. And so change, I see, is a toolkit. There are 50 or 60 things you can do, and in every innovation you should sit down and go, what are the things we will do that will work for this innovation to help drive the right change in our organisation? Measuring the outcomes is important. This is the bit that we are not very good at with innovation. But again, a good innovation process that tests an idea, right, that says, okay, so we've come up with this new product. We're going to, there's a bank, I'll talk Scotiabank in Canada. They, in some of their branches, off to the right or off to the left, they have another room which is a pretend branch. And once a day, they invite a few customers into this and run them through some certain products or services that they're working on. And they take the metrics out of that and they work out whether or not they think it's going to be successful. And this is the way they make the decisions on whether or not they're going to take these new products and services forward. And then they go back after the product, if they decide to launch it, they go back and work out whether or not the metrics that they initially worked out were worth the investment. Because that helps them, obviously, if they are successful and they get these things right, that helps them get more funding for their innovation program. Funding it is a key piece. How many organisations in the room have funding specifically available for their innovation team? Okay, so a handful. Funding is the big challenge. One of my clients in Melbourne at a bank is their IT innovation process. They're going for this, I think the 777 view of innovation. Has anyone heard this one? I think it's $7,000, 7 projects, and 7 days, I think, to do a mock-up. I think that's the model of it. Now, I believe this is all based on the concept of 7 times 7 is 49, which is less than $50,000. Right? And generally, it's pretty easy. In any organisation, it's not too hard to find $50,000. Right? And the theory is that, with somewhere between 35 and 70% success, of those 7 things you do, hopefully 3 or 4 of them will go forward and be productised at some stage. So that is a way of funding it. It's a way of getting a bit of money up front, testing out your innovation process. Other people use different ways of funding, using the new graduate. Some large organisations have graduate programs where the graduates float through the organisation 3 months at a time in different parts of the business. Perhaps they spend 3 months in the innovation team and it's their job to do the mock-ups and the testing. Just don't make the mistake one of my clients did, which is get them to present to the board of directors on the ideas too, because that didn't go very well and nothing ended up getting funded. And then incenting the ecosystem. Well, you've got partners, you've got suppliers, getting your suppliers to take take a share of the risk with you, for example, with an understanding that they'll take a share of the reward. Incenting your customers by having them get access, having a key bunch of customers. And I know Panasonic's doing this in Australia at the moment. I only know this because for some reason I got invited onto this group of things, even though I have 0 Panasonic products. They actually have this key group of customers that they test new products with. They send things out. They get their opinion of things. They even send us into, they say, go into a shop, ask them about the Panasonic TVs and give us feedback on the sales approach. And they use these customers as a way of improving their products and services and their way of selling the solutions.